Ohioans are slated to pick nominees for governor all the way down to county offices in tomorrow's primary election. But the contest attracting national attention is the fight to replace retiring Republican Senator Rob Portman. That's because it's widely seen as a test of former President Trump's endorsement power. Trump's decision to back hillbilly elegy author J.D. Vance gave the venture capitalist a much-needed boost in his campaign war chest and in the polls. At a Nebraska rally on Sunday, though, Mr. Trump mixed up Vance's name with that of fellow primary candidate Josh Mandel. Take a listen.
We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel, and he's doing great. They're all doing good. They're all doing good. And let's see what happens. But if I lose one race, we have so many races that we're leading by a lot. If it's like 40-2, or 40-1, or 40-3, they're going to say Trump was humiliated. He was humiliated. I think Vance is doing well.
All right, J.D. Mandel not on the ballot, but I want to bring in Kyle Kondik. He is the managing editor for Sabato's Crystal Ball, a political newspaper run out of the University of Virginia Center for Politics. Kyle, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I know you and I talk a lot about Ohio in presidential seasons and in these midterms, so it's great to have you here. The former president and his son, Don Jr., they've been campaigning all over Ohio for J.D. Vance. I'm curious, what do you think is the impact of this endorsement so far?
Well, look, I don't think J.D. Vance was leading this race prior to the Trump endorsement. I think he was competitive in this race prior to the Trump endorsement, but it's a crowded field with five prominent candidates. And, I think the Trump endorsement arguably has put Vance in the lead. And so if Vance wins, I think you probably could ascribe at least probably a significant share of the credit to that for Trump. But at the same time, because Vance wasn't leading prior to the Trump endorsement, it's possible that Vance actually won't win, in which case I do think that Trump would have stuck his neck out and maybe not gotten the result that he wanted. So there are a number of primaries coming up here where Trump has stuck his neck out. He's probably not going to have a perfect record, but this Vance endorsement will be a great test for the power of his endorsement.
Yeah, I think all those candidates in places like Pennsylvania and elsewhere are probably going to be looking at tomorrow's results to see what it means for them in their races. What's really interesting here is that this is a race for Senator Portman's seat. And Rob Portman is kind of a different brand of Republicans. It seems much different than many of these candidates who are trying to replace him. Give us a sense of, what's behind this transformation of the Republican Party in Ohio. Is it due to Trump winning there?
Yeah, look, I think that Trump was a bad candidate for Republicans in some states, and he was a good candidate for Republicans in other states. And I think he was a good candidate for Republicans in Ohio because Ohio at one point was a major bellwether state from the late 1800s all the way through 2012. No state better reflected the national voting for president. And then it didn't really reflect the national voting in 2016 or 2020. Trump won it by 8 points both times, which was a lot different than what the national popular vote was in those elections. And I think that Trump brought a lot of new voters into the Republican Party in Ohio. And I think with that, I think maybe you're going to see a change in tone in that I think Ohio has been known for producing what you'd consider to be kind of like establishment Republican leaders like Rob Portman and the current governor, Mike DeWine, who, of course, used to be in the Senate, too. Both DeWine and Portman are certainly conservative by any standard definition of the term, but they're not like Trump. They're not as in your face in terms of their tone. And it's quite possible that whoever ends up replacing Portman, if in fact it is the Republican nominee, is going to be someone who is more kind of aggressive and Trumpish than someone like more mild-mannered like Portman or Mike DeWine.
Yeah, Kyle, I want to ask you about DeWine because he once enjoyed, wide bipartisan support. He looked like he was going to be pretty much coasting to re-election this time around. What's happening there? Does he stand any chance of losing his seat?
There are a lot of Republicans who, frankly, have always been suspicious of DeWine going back to his days in the Senate and, maybe not being as conservative on certain issues as they would like, particularly on guns, although DeWine has certainly gotten a lot more conservative on guns over time. And also I think COVID is a big piece of this, too, in that DeWine, I think, was one of the early leaders in kind of aggressive action to fight COVID. And, that's sort of fallen out of favor on the Republican side over over time. And so DeWine has a competitive primary of his own on Tuesday evening, although he faces split opposition. The most prominent opponent is Jim Renacci, former House member who unsuccessfully ran for Senate in 2018 in Ohio. I think that DeWine he looks like he's going to be okay in the primary, but it's possible he might get under 50%, which there's no runoff in Ohio, so that doesn't really matter. But it would be, it would be kind of disappointing, I guess, for a sitting governor to not be able to get a majority in his own primary. That said, I also think DeWine retains a considerable amount of crossover appeal. So it may be that, I think even if he shows some weakness in the primary, I think he still looks okay for the general election, assuming he's renominated.
And I just have to ask you, because you wrote the book on Ohio picking presidents, really quickly, is Ohio still a battleground state?
I don't think so. I think it's on the periphery of competitive states. But in what we're expecting to be a pretty Republican-leaning year this year, and given how much redder Ohio has gotten over the last decade, I don't think it's a major battleground in the context of 2022 or really even 2024, for that matter.
All right, Kyle Kondik, the expert. We thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.